Channel 10.
Today's episode of Channel 10 Podcast is brought to you by channel10podcast.com. When you go to channel10podcast.com, you can check out our back catalog of great episodes, and you can also help support the show by clicking the store link and purchasing some Channel 10 Podcast merchandise. With that, let's start the show.
We used to be like CNN Channel 10. And we used to think that people would catch on. But if you're not from Queens, and you don't got Time Warner or whatever, like, well, I didn't know that.
Do it, yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo.
Call is now being recorded.
Yo. Welcome back to the Channel 10 Podcast. This is the almighty AR, and I'm alongside
Sing Good.
And we are in the building, and we were just having our usual pre-podcast discussion, and I asked you if you had seen Martin Shkreli, or Shkreli as some people pronounce it, on The Breakfast Club. So what were your thoughts on that?
Well, overall, I would say that I don't truly understand why he's even on The Breakfast Club. I don't know what to really say about the dude. I mean, it seems like he just wants attention for real. And he's getting quite a bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out why he was on there too, because usually people come there to promote something. I don't know if he's just trying to sway public opinion into his favor, given that, you know, his trial is coming up and a lot of people really hate him. I will say that I did learn something, but it seemed like maybe his lawyers prepped him for the questions or something like that. So, you know, Charlemagne asked him, what is he doing for Black Lives Matter? So then he talked all around it and talked about his black mentor, and then started talking about, who was it, Percy Julian, who was like the first black guy who created a pharmaceutical company in the 50s, and how he saw a picture of him and it just makes him want to cry and all this other type of stuff. So that, you know, made me, you know, make a note to go look into Percy Julian. But Charlemagne, you know, I guess he saw what he was doing, so he was like, okay, yeah, you know some black people, but what are you doing for the movement? And he was like, well, you know, I have a lot of stuff going on with this trial, so I'm really just focused on myself right now. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then, like, you know, when Charlemagne was asking him what made him decide to try to bail out Bobby Shmurda, and he goes into his constitutional rights and all of this and that. And then Charlemagne was like, yeah, but there's a lot of people going through that right now. And then he was like, well, I don't know them. I just happen to hear about this. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of all this either.
Yeah, and then, like, I found out that the whole thing about that congressional hearing that he had and how they mentioned the Wu-Tang album.
Oh, yeah. And he just pled the fifth. He pled the fifth to every question, I believe. And apparently he had some type of smirk on his face when Elijah Cummings was talking to him. And Elijah Cummings was like, this isn't funny. You know, people out here dying, talking about how his company jacked up the prices for the AIDS medication. And of course he did explain that on The Breakfast Club. And his explanation did kind of make some sense. But, you know, for him to be sitting there with a smirk on his face is kind of like, you little prick. But his lawyer was like, well, he was just nervous. But I don't know. He doesn't really seem like the type to get nervous. But it is a different venue, I guess, when you're being grilled by Congress. So,
I mean, yeah, I can only imagine. But I don't know. Is it just me, or it seems like some kind of weird like Wu-Tang thing is mentioned every so often in the congressional chambers.
What was the last one? I think didn't Raekwon go up there or something like that?
I mean, no, I'm thinking about just like a congressman, just mentioning something about like a Wu-Tang or whatever. Like remember, like I think was it like Marco Rubio? Like this had to be almost like 2008, 2009 if he was in office during that time. Like I think it was him like mentioned like Killer Army as like an example for violence or something like that.
Oh yeah, for the talking about the DC sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were talking about I guess the 5%ers because apparently what's his name? Whatever his name was, he was a big Killer Army fan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was. I mean, it's so crazy how Wu-Tang is rather relevant. They find some kind of weird way to become relevant in these new eras of hip hop and I guess popular culture up to a point overall.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking about it. RZA recently injected himself into the conversation of, I guess, the perception of young black men when he said basically that, we need to dress differently so white people won't be afraid of us, and I'm paraphrasing. Did you see that?
Nah. The only thing was that like the Bloomberg business interview.
I believe so.
Oh yeah, probably, man. I was just interested to see what he had to say about the Shkreli guy. But other than that, I mean, I just sometimes I tend to zone out during RZA interviews because I don't feel like hearing that shit. And,
oh man.
And this kind of goes back to what I've said before about what was it on ironically enough actually on what's it, the last Wu-Tang album, I Bet It Tomorrow. Yeah. So like one of the few decent songs on there, the one I think about the chain or something like that, the one that has Master Killer and RZA on it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I said before that he just sounds like an old black rich man. And sometimes that's all I see whenever he talks nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of funny because he does old black rich man things like he'll just pop up on your album and just do a song.
Yeah.
Like he did on Kid Cudi's album, and then he did it on what's the guy, Blake, I must say Blake Griffin, James Blake.
Yeah.
His name. Yeah, like RZA just pops up and just does a whole song on your album and you produce it and you don't even really have any vocals on it.
Yeah, man, you do that, and he has his own line of speakers out. He's living between New York and LA, and he has like I don't know. I read some interview and apparently he has like a driver or whatever like that. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I wouldn't call him like bitter or anything like that. He just has certain views, but. If you get into people like the Lord Jamars of the world and everything like that, when you just start sounding like an old bitter 5%er, after a while, it's something I just can't really get into.
I mean, you heard what Tax Stone said about the 5%ers.
What did he say?
He said, something about in the 90s, everybody was a 5%er and getting the knowledge and everything, and that was all cool, but, as time goes on, it's some same dudes, and they just strung out on crack now.
Yes. Well, 50 did say that he knows God of law. He used to pump crack on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what to say about these kinds of people. And Lord knows, I mean, if there's another episode of Lord Jamar that comes out, I don't know. I mean, he should just get his own podcast.
He should. I mean, hopefully Vlad is, breaking them off some good money because Lil Jamar has brought Vlad a lot of viewership based off of, you know, his comments, which people consider to be controversial.
You know, the thing about Lil Jamar, I don't really see all of his comments as like all that controversial.
I mean, I think now in this age of liberalism and political correctness, you know, anything that you say that isn't aligning with what you're supposed to think in these days and times is controversial. Like anything that you say against, not even against, but if you have an opinion on something like Caitlyn Jenner, for instance, that doesn't align with, you know, complete 100% support and, you know, whatever, even though, you know, research on certain things is kind of inconclusive at this time, you know, you're going to get backlash for it, and it's going to be considered to be controversial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that he would, he has the perfect personality for like a radio show or a podcast or something like that. And I remember when he was like on the Combat Jack show, he pretty much took over the entire show.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't dropped more music.
I mean, I don't think he hasn't dropped anything since the 5%er album, right?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, you know, but you know the thing that I will say about that album was the packaging is so ill.
Yeah.
Which I still have.
Yeah, mine actually, it got messed up. I'm wondering if I can still find it somewhere.
I'm sure you can probably just cop it on Amazon real quick.
Yeah.
I don't see too many of those being, you know, swept away.
Yeah. Speaking of packaging, I still got to get the stimulus package out of Freeway and Jake One joint.
I mean, you had it before, didn't you?
Nah, I meant to get it. I was probably like real broke around the time that came out.
Man, I don't think I even listened to it, man.
Oh man, that album's dope. But you know, I'm a big Freeway fan, and his music is really interesting because at least now it seems like, I don't know. I guess a lot of our rap heroes are becoming, you know, old middle class black men, and the way that their old middle class black manness is manifesting itself kind of depends on the person. So like with somebody like Freeway, he just drops like all of this Muslim stuff in his bars. Like, you know, he'll just be rapping and then he'll just say something about the Prophet and something about like, and he, you know, he's been doing this increasingly throughout the years. Like I remember listening to him talking about, you know, you want to wear a beard because it's cool, but I do it for the Prophet and all this other type of stuff. So, you know, his lyrics used to be like, I guess, you know, like, Nasty Nas can't ride on the freeway and, you know, all that other type of stuff. But now, you know, it's becoming more, I guess, it's kind of positive, but it's also, you know, has that judgmental type of quality to it as well.
Yeah. I listened to the Beanie Siegel Rap Radar episode this morning, and you know it's interesting because I was kind of thinking the same thing that you're thinking now. When Beanie Siegel was talking about, you know, he's married and how he met his wife, and whenever they were like kind of asking like some questions about groupies from back in the day, he just kept talking about his wife and his children. and you know, if someone told me that Beanie Siegel in 2016 will be this way, or at least say these things at all, just based on his, you know, his character, you know, throughout the years, I would have said nah. So it's interesting, man. Like, you know, I mean, like, you know, like a lot of these